Hello and welcome to Tuesdays with Annette. It's time to get cooking in the kitchen, and if you've downloaded the recipe for today and got your ingredients, I think you might be ready to cook with me. So what are we making today? Well, we're going into book 3 and we're making caramel banana self-sauce pudding, and it is a fantastic one to start winter off because today is the first day of winter, so why not have a fabulous pudding? Now, the winners from last week's show, before we get into where we're going with the pudding, which we made the sticky Chinese prawns last week, the winners from that show were Suzanne Dart, Desley Hanson and Jeanette Warner. And they all won a personally signed copy of the Cooking for Honour too. But before we start, let's go over and wash our hands. And I'd really love to say hello to one of my biggest fans. Her name is Beryl, and Beryl turned 89 the other day. Hi Beryl. Now Beryl has actually been using my recipes and following me for 21 years. So I was just thrilled to hear from you, Beryl, and happy birthday. Alrighty. There's the hands nice and clean. Now let's go over the ingredients we need. So to start with, if you have got this book, which is the one before I updated, please make a note that in the recipe I have made a change. And what I've added is 30 grams or 2 tablespoons of Floralite margarine melted. And I've done this with when I was updating all the books. I looked at the recipes and I thought this really would make it a lot better if it had a little bit of margarine in the cake itself. It makes it just so much nicer because it could have been, before it used to be a little bit rubbery. So now pencil it in or write it in, 30 grams or 15 tablespoons of Floralite margarine melted. So what we'll do is, while we're chatting, let's put this in the oven now. So get your margarine. I've got my cling wrap. I use that because I don't want it to splatter all over my microwave. So I'm going to put it on 70% power for 20 seconds. So now let's look at what we need. So there was the margarine. We need a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. So we're using brown sugar today because it's a caramel theme. We want to make it dark and delicious. And we also want 2 egg whites. Now in the recipe you have this little jar, which is 110 gram of the Heinz baby apple. And why I use that one is because it's the right amount and it's not it doesn't have sugar added. We want 2 medium-sized ripe bananas, bicarb soda, skim milk, flour, self-raising flour, we want 1.5 cups, and then the top, which we're going to make, and this is the magic of self-saucing pudding. If you've never made one, watch and learn because it's super fun. You want 1 cup of brown sugar and 1.5 cups of water. Now the equipment we'll need a sifter for the flour. This is the dish I'm using to put the pudding in. It's actually the one that's actually in the picture in the updated version, so you've got that one. We'll need a measure cup. We need 2 bowls because we're going to mash the banana first, and then we're going to make the cake or the batter in another bowl. We also need, you can either use a fork. I'm going to use a potato masher to do the banana. I've got a wooden spoon, scraper, measure spoons, dessert spoons, like little props and that. But I think we should be ready to go. So first of all, the oven. It's preheated to 180 degrees fan force. And thanks for joining me today. If you've just joined in, we're going a pudding for today because it's the first day of winter and it's caramel banana self-saucing pudding. Now we want 3/4 cup. So get your banana and let's mash. Now you really do want to have a ripe bananas here because this is where you get a lot of sweetness. If they're green, 1, you won't be able to mash them, and 2, they'll be quite sort of sour. They won't have sweetness to them. So you're just going to mash the bananas. Now a couple of you have commented that you can't eat bananas when we put the feed up, or you don't like bananas. So I've never made this recipe, especially Anya, she's not good with bananas. I've never made it any other way, so I can't give you a swap at this point. But what I can tell you is I have 4 self-serve puddings, 4 of them. So what you do is, instead of making this one, you could go into book well, obviously there's this one, the banana self-sauce pudding. In book 4, there's chocolate self-saucing pudding. And in book 6, there's sticky pineapple pudding, which is very much like a self-sauce pud. And in the Cooking Fauna 2, I've done a serves 2, and it's a sticky orange pudding. And that's, once again, with that sauce at the bottom, which is a bit fabulous. So let's measure it out. We want 3/4 of a cup. So as you could see, I had 2. That looks good. Bill will eat that rest left over. I'll put it over the side here for you, Billy. He loves mashed banana. Okay, so the banana's done. So now what we'll do is get our bowl, and we've got our beater here, and we're going to now, it's very much a traditional recipe of Annette. It's the whole system of beat your egg whites and sugar, add the applesauce, put the milk and the march together, flour. Like, it's how I do a lot of my cakes. So you should be familiar with it if you've been cooking for me. Like Beryl, she would know very well how I do this. Alrighty, so 2 egg whites. So get them in your bowl. That's it. Now put in your brown sugar, which is 1/4 cup of brown sugar. Now we're going to beat that for about a minute. And as I said, make sure you use the brown because we want it caramelly. And I've separated the sauce from there. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add bicarb into the apple. So take your lid off. Always make sure you scrape this little bit off the top. We don't want to waste it. And you want 1/2 teaspoon. There we go. Get a little teaspoon and then just mix them up. It'll start to froth. So that means it's activated. And then in we go. And what I found with doing the apple back in book 1, I got this idea, and it really helps to moisten the cake. Instead of putting lots of oil in, for example, I mean, now of course I've just put a little bit of flour or margarine in it to help it, but this also will make sure you have a really moist, fabulous pudding. So I'm going to get my wooden spoon now and mix that in. You don't need your beater from this point. All right, so next we're going to do, let's get the margarine out. Don't forget your oven's preheated to 180 degrees, so it'll be ready for you when you want to put it in. And now what we do is pour the milk into the marge. I always do it that way because it's easier to mix up. And that way it cools the margarine down a little bit. Thanks so much for joining me today on Tuesdays with Annette. Lots of great recipes coming for this year. I'm excited about cooking for you and you trying maybe some new recipes. Maybe you haven't thought to make this before. And when you see it, I think you'll put it on your list to be made. It's just delicious. Now we put in the banana. In it goes. Remember, it was 3/4 cup of mashed nani. And remember, if you don't like the banana, you can have the chocolate one, the pineapple one, or the orange one. I mean, but there's so many desserts that you can enjoy in all the books because every book has a dessert section in it. There we go. And the last thing we've got to do now is sift the flour in. Just do it in one go. Get it all done in the dish. How easy is this recipe? It's so fun and so delicious. And I just think sometimes it's really nice in winter to be able to have a guilt-free dessert, that's for sure, especially on those cold nights. And I'm just sending all my love to all you guys in Victoria who are in lockdown right now. I hope you're able to watch the show and fill up a little bit of your time while you're in lockdown. Please stay safe, sending you lots of love, and hopefully you'll be back out again real soon. Yeah. Life is really different these days, isn't it? Okay, so there it is. Notice I didn't beat it too much. I just folded it through, done and dusted. You don't want to use the electric beater. You want to just get it with your wooden spoon until it's all dissolved. That's the key with my baking. Do not overbeat. Okay, so now I'm going to get my scraper. There we go. And in it goes. Oh my gosh, look at all the, you should see all the bits of the beautiful banana in there. Yum! All right. Let's put this over here. Now just get your spoon and just spread it out evenly. That's it. Make sure it's nice and even, especially in those corners. Corners tend to miss out. And this is where we now make magic. That's right. What we're going to do is we're going to do the caramel. Now what happens is you get your cup of brown sugar and sprinkle it over the top. And this is so much lower in fat than normal puddings because we haven't put lots of, massive amount of butter in. And you think this is a lot of sugar because it is for one of my recipes, it's quite a bit of sugar. But they would put way more in the normal recipe. So I've worked out the least amount where you still get the wow factor. So you can see what I'm doing now here. I'm spreading out the brown sugar so it's even, yeah? And then all you do is get your water, and I always use a spoon just to help it, and I just pour it in. Pour it over the top. And yes, it's water and brown sugar on the top, but you know what happens to this in 30 to 35 minutes once it's been in the oven? It becomes a caramel pudding underneath, caramel sauce. So I'm going to just open the door. Remember, it's a 180 degrees fan forced. In we go. Carefully, carefully. And what happens there, the magic of it, is that that water will go through the cake and it makes magic. It makes a caramel sauce. Now, I did make one to show you because I thought, you'd probably think, well, how does that work? So here is one I've just made. And I'm going to take off some of the pudding, and that way you can see, you'll be able to see the caramel underneath. So let's get that out. Here we go. So as you can see, whoa, look at the brown underneath. Obviously that's a big serve. Let's do this. And from this you'll see there is the caramel. Can you see? I know, it's so fabulous. So as I said, it takes about 35 minutes. Make sure it's firm to touch in the center so it's cooked all the way through. And I wouldn't make it in the morning and have it for night because the sponge cake will suck up a lot of the sauce. So I always make it reasonably around near when we want it. Now, the good news is you can now start thinking about my new mentoring program challenge. It actually starts on the 14th of June. It's the winter challenge. I'm super excited because you get lots of great recipes to enjoy from the cookbooks. And if you want to find out more about it and join me, and I'd love to be your mentor, go to simplytoogood.com.au/membership. So there is the caramel self-sauce pud. I know, it's a bit fabulous. Now, if you want to win book 3, you just have to like, share, and then write something in the comments, and then you will get to hopefully win a book 3. And I just think that we've got lots of great recipes coming, but this week, I'm a bit excited to enjoy this. So, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? Caramel banana self-sauce pud. I know, 1.7 grams of fat with the new version. Now, next week's, this Thursday, I'm actually going to a really dear friend, one of my best friends, Susie's wedding. Can you imagine getting married at 1:30 on a Thursday? That affected my program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-record the show. So make sure you go in at 2 o'clock and watch me, because I'm making the spicy apricot lamb casserole, because I thought it's a winter week. Let's go into the casseroles, and it is just fabulous. So don't forget to join me on Thursday. Next Tuesday's cooking class, the recipe's up. Go get it. And what am I doing? I'm making pizza. I know, guilt-free pizza. Join me and we will have a lot of fun with that. So for now, just have a fantastic couple of days. I'll see you back on Thursday, and I think I know what we're going to have for afternoon tea. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on Thursday. Bye now.